Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us on yet another edition of Conversations. My name is Diva Mom, and it's going to be a very good one. It's going to be a very good one. Maybe we would say that this would concern a certain demography more, parents. We're talking about family planning. Specifically, as for me, I always say that if you live in Abuja, it's enough family planning already. Yeah? But if you live in other parts of the country, you might still be in those places where the bills aren't quite that high, where education is reasonably cheap, so you're feeling like, okay, I can still go right ahead and fulfill all righteousness and have my 25 kids. May not be such a good idea for other parts of the country, but that's just my view. And to ensure that I don't force my own views down your throat, I have 4 other people with me in the studios who will be talking to us about what they think about family planning. And to my immediate right.
My name is Chi. Hi.
And sitting next to her,
Chukwumahaka.
Notorious
B.I.G.
My name is Rita. Welcome.
And I am, as usual, not the last or not the least. I am Dr. Brimer. At your service.
Yes, nationwide. So it's going to be a very interesting one, and we're hoping that in the midst of all our banter and chat and everything, we will be able to pass across relevant bits of information that could help you with planning your family. We'll be right back.
When there's a child out there that's not getting the same that your own child is getting, the difference will tell, and there will come a time in the society where that child is going to take his pound of flesh.
Where you can actually, everything from watching a program with the child, you can start off the conversation from something on the TV and say, oh, you know.
For me, it's like, hurry up with this business. And the other one said, Auntie, it's not about me, it's about the guys. They're not ready to marry.
Yes.
See if she wants to ask something. No, I know my mother very well. In fact, the most interesting one is when I put up pictures on WhatsApp, you know, Snapchat filters and all that, she will call me, remove that picture. There was a day I got tired of all that and I
Now, family planning. It's you might not really know, but it's pretty controversial, because there are parts of the country where maybe for religious or cultural reasons, controlling the number of children you have is considered taboo. Yeah, so that becomes a situation where people refuse to access family planning care or advice, despite sometimes maybe rank poverty. You know, having kids means, it automatically means you're going to have to pay bills. You're going to have to think about feeding, shelter, clothing, and so on and so forth. There's no way you're making babies and you're not poking holes in your pocket, so to speak. But because sometimes it's a very difficult conversation to have, it becomes very hush-hush. It becomes a situation of we're having maybe street kids in certain parts of the country. Maybe we're having other parts of the country where people are abandoning their babies on doorsteps and so on and so forth. What really do we think is the best way to send the family planning message home? Because I think that's the most important thing. For me, I feel as if that's the most important thing. How do we get more people to accept the message of family planning?
I love that question, and I am passionate about this topic. The first thing on that to-do list is sex. Sex.
Okay. I didn't see that one coming.
Well, the children don't drop from the sky, so obviously.
Why are we talking about family planning? We're talking about family planning because people are having sex.
Yes.
And when you have sex, you make babies.
Yeah.
And family planning is all about controlling that aspect of your life.
Okay.
Yes. So, what do we do about it? People are having sex not only in marriage.
Oh, yes, certainly.
Teens are having sex. Pre-teens are having sex. That is where you have unintended pregnancies. That is where you have access to unsafe abortions. That is where you have deaths, maternal deaths, fetal deaths. So, if we look at family planning from the angle of sex, then we'll be able to make a better inroad into having people accept family planning and its methods.
I actually wasn't thinking about that, but of course it makes sense.
It's a lot. For me,
So whether we agree or not, whether we like it or not, whether we want to believe it or not, whether we want to stick our head in the sand and get our asses out there like an ostrich, people are having sex, legal and illegal sex, atrocious sex, exotic sex, people of all ages. Whether it's in the LGBTQ community, whether it's the heterosexual community, people are having sex. 13-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 9-year-olds. A 5-year-old gave birth the other day.
what?
An 11-year-old gave birth to twins the other day.
Yeah.
I can go on and on.
That's
So when we
tragic.
start talking about sex and stop being hypocrites, then we can talk about family planning, access, scaling up, and acceptance.
For me, I think for it to be more acceptable, unfortunately, many of us do not understand what it really means.
Yeah.
They think there are so many misconceptions about family planning, especially in the northern part of the country. Some people think it is trying to limit the number of kids they can have. Who says you cannot have, though not recommended, who says you cannot have 25 kids? But
You need to have the
spacing-
resources too.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Your wife gets pregnant today, she gives birth. The baby is not even 1 year, and she's pregnant again. It is not good. So when you make them understand, because a lot of people who have not even accepted this, who don't accept family planning or who don't seek family planning services, are doing it because they don't understand what it really means. No one is saying you can have the number of kids you want to have. But then when you have to factor in other situations like economy and the rest. But if every other thing you think maybe you're Bill Gates and you can afford to feed 100 children, but does that mean you should have 100 children in 100 months? No. You have to space your children. That is what those who are advocating for family planning are advocating for. Give your wife, give the mother of the child enough time to heal. Being pregnant for 9 months takes a lot from the mother. And the mother needs to be there for the child. So if you make her, get her pregnant almost immediately, you're endangering the life of the mother, you're endangering the life of the child. And that's one of the reasons why we have really high rate of maternal and child mortality in Nigeria.
And you
A
know the
woman does
interesting
not get
thing?
pregnant except she wants to be pregnant.
And exactly, much of the control for family planning is...
putting the blame on the man is not right.
I disagree.
You don't get a woman pregnant.
I love
she
it.
doesn't want to be pregnant.
Now, let me
see.
Let me elaborate.
Do you know that there are men who will use emotional blackmail? There are men who will physically assault. There are men who will withhold finances and things like that to get a woman who is trying to,
Abstain from pregnancy.
yes, to cooperate.
Yes.
Now, you might say that, yeah, there are other family planning devices. For instance, I understand there's something you put in your arm and it stays there like for 3 years or so.
Dermal implants.
And
We'll talk
so on
about
and so
it.
forth, yeah?
Yes.
Now, some women don't handle those things well physically. You start popping pills and you break out in spots, you become this size and so on and so forth. So they kind of like rely, besides you're married to this person, you should be able to agree on certain things.
That's where I stand in
Especially
this
something
this
as intimate
discussion.
as sex.
The issue of people, us, those who should not being able to sell the importance of family planning enough to the couple. Many a time it will appear we're targeting just the woman when we're talking about family planning instead of making it a team thing. It is something the man and the woman needs to agree on. It's not just one person that will decide on this.
Yeah.
And if we sell the importance, the benefits enough, perhaps people will start to look at it from a different point of view. And when I say sell the importance, it's not just in English, because you have people who don't understand some of these sophisticated messages we put out there that talk about family planning.
Yeah.
So you need to go to the grassroots, break it down in their language. You see, the thing, Devan, is it does not matter whether you belong to one sector of the country or the other, or that you have a right to have 100 children. The fact that you have 10, you may be able to cater for them, but they have effect. There's a ripple effect on other people in the community. We're talking about Nigeria, and this is the size of Nigeria, and this is our population compared to other countries who are doing way better than us, and they have less people in the country, and it's easier to manage hygiene, control, you know, taking care of security is easier because the people, you can manage the number of people that you have. So it has a wide effect. So I do believe that if a man, no matter how high or low he is, loves the wife he's married to, and if the woman loves the man he's married to, I know I want to be with this person, and I don't want to die untimely, and I don't want to have kids that I cannot take care of, and I don't want to have unwanted pregnancy like she said, because if people know that, they can avoid going for an abortion if they use family planning, because at the end of the day, looking at it from a religious point of view, you would say aborting a child is wrong. People are, there's all kinds of movement that want to justify it from every angle. Fine, but why not just prevent?
Okay.
Whether you're married or not married.
Let's hear from the man.
Let's
Whether
hear.
you're married or not married.
Doctor said sex. She said spacing. You are talking about the morals and everything. Have we talked about the traditional values around it?
We are going to talk about it.
Because you see a woman and a man who have agreed that they're going to have 2 children. And you see the parent move into the woman's house.
It's true, it happens.
Immediately. And before you know it, the woman becomes an object of ridicule.
Yes.
And the man, because he wants to please his dad or please his mom, joins the gang and forgets what both
Of them
have agreed.
Yes.
So it's something that cuts between the sex thing, the religious thing. It has a lot to do, because I'm from
family
where my place in the southeast. There was a time they say before you be recognized as a woman, you must have given birth to 12.
God
wow.
Almighty.
Then
Like a dozen.
and yes,
These things
and
happen.
yes.
That's
You would
like
have given,
that. I
yes,
mean,
you would have
like,
given birth to 12.
it's like laying eggs.
And then they will come and do a traditional rite, and they will celebrate you, and everybody will recognize
You're coming
you.
of age as a woman, right?
That's
yes,
into
yes. Now,
motherhood or
but
something.
now now you check now when you give, because I'm one of those who believe that it's not in the number of children you have,
the quality of
it's
life.
in the quality of children you have.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see a man who gives birth to about 12, 13 children, and he barely lays hands on one. And he can't even afford to do anything. And before you know it, he transfers responsibility to an innocent man who had decided with his wife to build a home for themselves.
Exactly.
And they
They
become
can
a burden to them. Now, people should begin to think of this. One, there is no competition. That you have 10 children and I have 1. It's your decision, it's my
I
decision.
don't agree with you about the competition part. In a polygamous home, there's competition. The first wife wants to have 20 kids, the third wife wants to have 50 kids. I don't agree with you on that
No,
point.
get my point. What I'm saying is this. Yes, there could be, but
There is.
There is no competition in life.
There shouldn't be.
There shouldn't
Maybe that's
be.
what you're trying to
Yes.
say.
I think he is talking of this home versus that home. Not
Yes.
what happens within
Not what happens
one
within.
particular
And
house.
the weird thing that I agree with that he said is the fact that the people who believe they have a right to go ye and multiply eventually want to put the burden on the
another
person who sat
person.
down and decided, I can't afford
Yes.
to have more than 2, 3, 4 kids.
No.
maximum.
Even that person,
They want to put the
even that
burden on
person
that
can
person.
actually afford to have 20 kids.
Yes.
Because if you notice something,
But
if
you
you
want
notice a
a
pattern,
quality life for your family.
notice
It's
a
not just
pattern.
money, you also have to be there physically. For the children, there's emotional investment you need to have in the children's life.
That's exactly where I want to come
You
from.
cannot
Richard.
be-
Even if you really look at it, the people who can afford those 73 kids,
have
they're
4 or
having
2.
3 or 2.
Yes, that's
You
exactly
understand?
what I was going to say.
Now, it's not, I think sometimes people get it twisted. It's not about your ability. It's not only about your ability
To raise.
to cover the bills.
Yeah.
Good.
Every child has an emotional, you have an
Requirements.
emotional or psychological connection
Yes.
with each child.
Yes.
Even if they are not birth children. This is a person that you have a link with in a parental capacity. If that child goes out, as you have those 17, if one goes out and you are expecting him back by 10, and he doesn't show till the following day, the remaining
sleep.
16 have faded into
Oblivion.
Oblivion.
Yes.
It's that one that is missing that will now occupy the entire space.
It's like the missing ship parable, huh?
Thank you.
Exactly.
It is draining on you as a parent. If your child is traveling by air, you don't have peace until you are sure that that vehicle landed where it was supposed to land, and you make contact. Imagine having to put yourself out like that for 9, 12, 15 kids. So the people who, I'm sorry, for people who come from really big homes, I'm not trying to denigrate anybody, but I kind of feel as if, for instance, in polygamous homes, each mother now becomes emotionally responsible for her child, while the father creates some kind of emotional distance.
Yes.
So that while the mother is worrying about these her 4 children, the other one is worrying about her 3, the man, sometimes I've seen instances where a parent raises voice and calls this child by the other person's name.
Yeah.
They do that all the
I've
time.
seen instances where a parent is doing like this, you. They can't remember the name.
Exactly. Hey, you, what is your name again?
Even when you have 3, that
You
happens.
understand? Because you're coping with work-life balance, then you're coping with children at different stages of development. Certainly the care you'll give to maybe a 22-year-old will be vastly different from the one that a 4-year-old will demand.
Yes.
It's draining.
But you
And
understand that
raising a child is actually a full-time job.
It's a full-time job.
You have to be present.
Yeah.
To be able to raise a child and raise that child well, you must be present.
you
And
cannot
there is
just be
no
present
way.
physically.
Exactly.
But you know,
Emotionally,
some reasons why some
psychologically.
people have a lot. It's not because some of them want to really have a lot, but they're planning for tomorrow. So because of that, they feel if I have 12 kids, if 10 become useless, at least 1 or 2 from these 12 might become useful.
kind of thinking.
The thing, what happens in such case is that we generally have the wrong notion about having kids.
Yeah.
Many of us have kids hoping that someday in future, these kids will turn around and take care of us. No, it's your responsibility
Plan
as
for
a
your
parent to take
pension.
care of your child till your old age. If the child, maybe some have responsible children, your child should naturally feel, I need it now at this stage of my life, and I can take care of myself, I should take care of my parents. So it's the child feeling, I need to do the right thing. But you demanding or expecting your child, as if it's your right, that now you're old, your child should take care of you. No.
But in Africa, that is the mindset
You should
most
take care
people
of
have.
this child.
Okay, let me say something
Well,
real
is
quick.
a child still a child at 40?
They still see us as children.
Let me say something
Let's
real
say
quick.
doctor.
Real quick. Let's take a chill pill
Yeah.
and do a reversal and go to the point of origin. Our topic of discussion today is family planning. What indeed is family planning?
Good.
Yes.
What is it?
I think she gave
Because-
something of it, but
Because our listening audience or our watching audience will want to know. They're talking about family planning. Nobody has defined it. What is
Yes.
it?
I think she
What
has
are
to a
the, what are
certain
the
degree.
parts? What are all of the intricate parts? What are the nuances involved in family planning? Now, what is family planning? Family planning, in simple layman's terms, is the ability for a family, a man and a woman. Note, I'm not saying a woman, because there are family planning methods for men, there are family planning methods for women. The ability for this family, this couple, to access methods that are used to space their children, to prevent pregnancy, to stop pregnancy, to delay pregnancy. All of these adjectives can be used. And what are these methods? They have the one that they call the long-acting reversible contraceptives, which is like the Implanon and the IUD, and the injectables. You have the injectables, you have the tablets, you have the permanent contraception, which is the vasectomy for men, and the bilateral tubal ligation for
Which
women.
they rarely do anyway.
Then you have the barrier method, which is the male and female condom. I'm sure a lot of people don't know that there's something like female condom. We have female condoms. You have the rings. Now, there's a very interesting story I want to tell you about when you were talking about women who are forced to have kids against their will. They are raped. Their finances are withheld from them. They are locked in a room until they comply. This happened in the North. I had the privilege to work in a setting where I was in charge of making sure that family planning commodities got to the end stage. It's called the last mile distribution. Whether you have money or not, come and access it for free. You pay a token, you come and access it. This particular woman had already 7 kids in a low socioeconomic setting. Her husband is a farmer, she's a farmer, a stay-at-home mom. Boys and girls, 4 boys and 3 girls. She's still 27 years old.
Wow.
And she had access to family planning methods. After the counseling and talking to the lady and, examining her and all of that, they reached an agreement that they will use the IUD for her, the reversible method, long-acting. It lasts for between 10 to 15 years, 10 to 12 years, 8 to 12 years. The lady immediately said, that is the one I want. It was inserted for her. She went home. Meanwhile, this woman had been under pressure from her husband to have more kids. And she said to her husband, we have 7. Look at them, they're all malnourished. They cannot afford anything. I'm selling pure water, I'm frying akara, you're going to the farm. How will we manage it? The man said, you must have more. The woman said, we are from the part of the country where you can have 4 wives. Marry more. Let them bring more kids. She doesn't think it's a good idea. All of this one she's saying, she's hiding her face and begging him to understand with her. He said, no, she must have more kids. He kept every night. He didn't know that she had something in there. One way or the other, somebody told the man matched this woman to the hospital.
I literally feel matched right now.
Remove it. Told the doctor, while I'm watching you, remove that nonsense. Oh, you're the one that wants to kill me and my wife, eh? The doctor tried to reason with him. He didn't want to hear. Remove it now while I'm watching you. He said, but excuse me, no, he's going to be here that the thing must be removed. The doctor removed it. The clever woman just dropped her bag on the floor. He jacked her again, let's go home. Oh, please, give me a few minutes, let me go and get my bag. Go and get the bag, stupid woman, and bring it here. Doctor, injectable. Doctor brought the thing quickly and gave her. Every 3 months, she'll go and hide and take it. So that is the one that is more acceptable in the north because there's no evidence.
So now she has to do it in hiding.
In hiding.
Because she does not have the support of the husband.
That is why what we're going to talk about when we have what are the features that prevents the uptake of family planning in developing countries.
Meanwhile,
he mentioned it, she mentioned it. You don't have spousal support. You don't have access. You don't know about it. And then she talked about making sure that the people in the grassroots, they know about it. It's not just about speaking English. Darling, we have pamphlets, we have town criers in every language in Nigeria.
Even in radio, I know I've heard some on radio.
Song, acting, drama.
Native language.
Everything.
Drama, everything.
Every information about family planning is there. It's just that traditional, religious, and cultural barriers are preventing the uptake.
Meanwhile,
let me tell you something.
I'd like us to quickly
countries,
make it clear.
okay.
I'd like us to quickly make it clear that these, although the particular case she's mentioning, the setting was in the north, we are not saying that this is a situation that is maybe peculiar to the north, because it is something that you'll find in most parts of the country, even amongst
now here is the thing. There is the one that is caused by sex preference. Or you have only female children. In some part of Nigeria, until you have a male child,
you don't have a child.
You're never born. So the woman keeps going
there are a lot of barriers
back, getting pregnant because she wants to have a male child. But I've also seen situations where, somebody have only male, and there is this, I think it's just being human in some cases. You want to have the best of both worlds, right? And you feel like, oh, I wish I have a girl that I can plait her hair. I wish I have a girl that I can do tweeny wee.
Adopt one.
That's another story. It's another kettle of fish. So some people actually go out of their way to make more babies because of sexual preference.
You know what? Some women put themselves under that pressure. I happen to know of a pastor.
Because of societal influence.
Of a pastor who had 4 daughters. And he named all of them with a particular letter. I said, this is interesting. Why did you name all your daughters in this fashion? He said, oh, that's because they are my beginning and end of everything. They are everything I want in any child.
Beautiful.
But his wife would always look, this is a family that, the man is devoted to her. They're not poor. They're ordinarily happy. But this son that is lacking has become the cause of a permanent scowl. There's no happiness in her, and all this. And she was getting absolutely no pressure from her husband at all. But she had made up her mind
Maybe from the
that
extended
until I
family.
see my son's face, I'm not okay.
It's not just extended
She had
family,
a
it's
son.
even the
She had
culture.
a
It's
son
not
there.
culture.
It can
She
be
had
called,
a son
I know
there.
someone currently.
Yeah, culture could be
I know
positive.
somebody currently who has 3 girls. Her husband has no problem whatsoever with her. In fact, told her stop having babies. But she's saying she's going to have more. She needs a boy. Meaning if she gets pregnant the fourth time and it's a girl, and the husband has told her it's okay. I don't want a boy. So what is making her want to have a boy?
Human needs and wants are untenable. I have been in a situation, or I have been privileged to be in a situation where I know 2 sets of families, right? 11 boys, no girl. 10 girls, no boy.
Wow.
And they have that number because they are, this family is looking for a girl, this family is looking for a boy. This woman almost died, her last pregnancy was still a boy. This other lady almost died, her last pregnancy was still a girl. What was the solution? Bilateral tubal ligation. In fact, the husband, bilateral tubal ligation is when they tie the tube so that the eggs cannot come down to meet the eggs. But because of IVF now, you don't even need the tubes for the eggs to go through. You plug the egg and put it in there. Right? So what did they do? This man said, take the womb out so that we can rest. Because if she dies, they'll say he's the one who killed her.
Okay, now
Did
let's...
she agree?
They did it without her consent.
No,
That's highly
Yes,
invasive.
it's very
Why didn't the husband do it?
It's highly invasive and it's very wrong.
No, sorry, you didn't hear what you were just saying. Why didn't the husband do it? She said, yes, the woman almost died while trying to give birth. And the husband did this out of love.
No, the man could have done a vasectomy. Why did he do his vasectomy?
Why didn't he do that?
He could do that. He didn't want any more children. This woman said, I still want to have.
They have a reason that they want to justify, but it's actually wrong.
It's wrong.
It's wrong.
Very wrong. But they went ahead and they did it anyway. Now, vasectomy is another form of family planning. But a lot of men do not even want to hear that at all. But they forget that it is actually reversible.
It is?
Yes. Bilateral tubal ligation is also reversible. And even when you go ahead and do the vasectomy, there's still a percentage probability of you still being able to get the woman pregnant. So you just need to be educated so that you can make informed decisions.
You see, we're going very far away to surgery and this and taking things that make you fat and give you pimples and everything. When people can stroll into a pharmacy and pick something, I don't even know how much do they sell condom. You see what that 100
You know the problem with
question of who wants to use it and who doesn't.
Not only does it prevent pregnancies, it protects you from disease
STIs,
and all this and all this. It's the easiest thing in the world
condoms.
to do.
I worked in a
But
place
because
where
yours truly we'd rather have women swallowing things that play with their hormones, you know, ruin your mood, make you fat and ugly and all this and all this. Yeah, it's all good. You are the one who's going to get the surgery and have things inserted in you and other things and all this and all this. When all he needs to do is buy a piece of plastic and wear it for approximately, 15 minutes?
Can I correct something?
Why are we not holding our men accountable?
You said something about taking things that will make you ugly and fat.
Yes.
They have different family planning methods.
They do.
I'm just saying,
one does not work for you.
You switch.
Try another one.
What I'm saying is
ones.
the ones for women are almost always highly invasive.
Okay.
They play with your hormones and everything, whereas the one for men are not only cheap, but they're easy to
Sorry,
use.
Doctor,
They protect you from disease and everything.
To work.
Doctor, sorry.
The hormonal ones.
No, she's talking about
sir.
using the condoms.
Now,
The men don't want to use condoms.
Why? That's what I'm saying. Why are we not holding them more to account?
There are women who don't want to use
Remember the
condom too.
first word that came out of my mouth was sex. They want to enjoy the sex.
Women don't want to
That's what
enjoy
they
it.
say.
There are women who don't want to use condom too.
Wahala that goes with it.
Divan, how many women enjoy sex? How many women know what an orgasm is?
Well,
Just
I don't have that
the
problem.
man comes
Let me
there.
put it that way.
sorry, Doctor, sorry.
I don't have that problem.
What else we're saying
How many women
is,
enjoy sex?
I also believe that our listeners also could be parents who are also pushing their children into this.
Yes.
They also could benefit from this our discussion today, because
Yes.
it's important for parents to also know that the fact that your daughter-in-law does not have a male child does not make her
Less of a woman.
less of a woman.
Yes.
And she's not even responsible
and-
for determining
For
the
the sex
sex
selection.
of the baby.
She's
And I always say, I always say this, that much as I'm a man, but I've come to realize that the parents are well taken care of more by the women who are in their old age.
Yes.
I've always used my dad as an example. He lives with my sister. I'm not How many times do I go home to look after my dad? So most times we should also let our parents or listeners should know that the fact that a woman is born in a home is a blessing.
It's a blessing.
Train that woman, and you might see 20 of men in that woman, because I know of an uncle who had more of females and a male. And eventually, it was the females that turned the house around and made a lot of changes. Now, most people are into this trouble today because the woman has found herself giving birth to female children, and in trying to please her father-in-law, her mother-in-law, the people around their home, she's endangering her life.
Yes.
And the men have failed to stand their ground. It is important as a husband to know that a child that comes from God, be male or female, should be taken care of.
Yes.
And the taking care of a child should be based on what you can afford, emotionally, financially, spiritually, and mentorship-wise. Because you can't just give birth to a child and you push the child to another person to raise for you. That child is not your child again. That child only bears your name. When another man raises a child, because children learn from whoever they live around with. The environment where they always say, hey, my blood is in that child. Your blood could be in that child, but that child may have become another child.
It just takes more than donating sperm or eggs to be parents,
exactly.
actually.
Sperm donors and egg donors.
It takes more than that to be
Let me speak to what he just said now. I have an in-law who lives in the States. He's got 4 kids, 3 boys and a girl. He came back on one of his visits. He's been there for like 28 years. He came back for one of his visits. And his father's brother came to him and said, welcome. How are you? It's fine. How are your children? It's fine. You have all this money. How many children do you have? How many wives do you have? He said, he lives in America. He's got just 1 wife. He's got 4 kids. In fact, at that point, he was divorced. So he's got 4 kids, 3 boys and a girl. He's a grandfather now. The man said, okay. He is an old man in the village. He's poor. He has 4 kids, 4 wives and 22 kids.
Oh, my world.
Feeling very good, like he's more a man. He's more of a man than he is. And then the next question he asked him is, wait till you bring come for me, and when are you going to take 1 or 2 of my kids with you
to America
to help me to raise? Do you know what? And this young man is a very outspoken man, well-educated, sure of himself, but very polite. He said to the man, I have all the money I need to give my children the best in life, and I've decided to have just 4. You don't have anything. You married 4 wives and you have 22 kids. Why should I help you to take care of any of them? Are they my responsibility? The old man was so shocked.
Bitter pill, but you have
to swallow it. The old man was so shocked, but nobody has spoken to him like that before. But I think that day, he sat down and he thought to himself, what have I done? Because I heard later that he called his kids and he said to them, if you do not have the resources to take care of your wife and your kids, marry 1 wife,
do all that you can.
Just do all that you can.
He got the message.
Yeah, he did.
He did not. This young man did not fight. He was not rude. He did not slap him or kick him or say get away. He just sat him down and had this conversation with him. Afterwards, he gave him some dollars, as in, this is what I brought for you.
No.
So if we can do that kind of thing from time to time, when we see a teachable moment,
use it politely.
The point I was trying to make, we ran away from the easiest family planning
methods, barrier methods,
which is barrier method, condom,
male or female condom, yes.
Which our good friend here has not addressed, but that's so much water under the bridge.
So you want to ask him why?
No, that's gone. But with regard to this, the battle of the sexes, so to speak, I have only females, I have only sons, and all this. With women who have only daughters, I think sometimes I'm trying to walk in those shoes now. Even if you have the best in-laws on the face of the planet, you have this husband who worships the ground you walk on. There might be other considerations. Let's say, for instance, the situation where the man is really wealthy. In Nigeria, culturally, succession is by what? Sons.
Yeah.
Gender.
Yeah.
By gender. Let's assume he dies intestate. And here you are with your 6 daughters. And one woman he was just clapping back on produces.
She just arrives.
One son.
And it
shows up
always happens like that.
with one son that nobody ever heard of on the face of this planet, and lays claim. So I think there's also that.
Yes.
There's also the thinking for some women that the man is just talking. Which man could possibly be happy with having 5 daughters?
Exactly.
He probably has one man outside who has already given him 3.
2 kids.
That's true.
Or
2
two
sons.
2 sons.
Yes.
That's why he doesn't want me to have a son.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why he's not bothered. He's consoling me. Don't worry about it.
Because he has already ensured the name progression thing.
Yes.
One woman has given birth to sons outside for him. So whether he likes it or not, I'm going to have that son. So you see, there are considerations of succession. There are considerations of, I don't want another woman outside to have an edge over me.
Yes.
So these pressures sometimes go beyond what the husband, in-laws, immediate family members or anything are saying.
Or even the woman, what she even wants.
Exactly.
It even goes beyond what the woman wants.
Yes.
But the woman might not want to have more than a certain number of kids. Because of all those things you mentioned,
Yeah.
she's not
keeps
forced.
doing like that.
And you know, sadly, what somebody said about no matter how many daughters you have, if you don't have a son,
You're not a man.
Yeah, no, yeah.
the truth is that it's pervasive. It's not specific to, or it's not peculiar to any one culture. It's the same thing in my own culture. Of course, things have gotten better now, but ordinarily, if you have just daughters, you have not even married.
Exactly.
You are visiting. Excuse me.
Up to this point? Up to this point?
Yes. If your husband
me.
wants to be mean,
You didn't know that.
Do
If
you
your
know
husband
this
wants
thing
to be
she's saying
mean,
about being pervasive? This wanting to have a boy is so bad that in places like India and China, there's something that is called femicide.
Yes.
The moment you do an ultrasound and it's a
The
girl
girl,
carrying,
they have an
terminate
abortion.
pregnancy.
have an abortion.
Yeah.
If it's 20 times you do the ultrasound, you have 20 girls an abortion. This is a woman who has just one child. I'm not talking about China now. This is India. You have one child, you have a daughter. The next pregnancy is a girl. It has gotten to a stage where ultrasounds are not allowed anymore in India because of the rate of femicide.
now, if you
In
have
China,
that
they
kind
have
of,
a
Very good
forest
value.
in China where they put the babies in a carton and just drop them there and walk away.
now, if you have that kind of situation, some women feel that in order to secure their place in the home, regardless how many daughters they have, they're naked without a son.
Yes.
And it's a cultural thing that needs to die.
Be addressed.
It needs to be addressed because
That
it's
discussion
cultural.
needs to be had.
Many women who put themselves under this kind of pressure are doing it from a place of insecurity.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, imagine a woman who has had daughters and is still feeling like, I'm still visiting
I'm not
this marriage.
stabilized.
Now, put yourself in the shoes of a woman who has not had a child.
Exactly.
15, 17 years down the line, nothing has worked. Can you imagine the kind of mental agony
She's going through.
that woman would be going through? There is nothing the man will tell her on the face of this planet that will work.
Nothing.
Nothing.
The only thing she wants to do is to have a baby.
And you know, you
And at
said
this point, it's a boy or a girl, it doesn't
you
matter.
flippantly said, go adopt. We don't have a culture of adoption.
Of adoption, we do not.
You will be mocked to death. This one, she doesn't even have womb. She had to go and buy a baby.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You understand?
Even the IVF thing self
Our
is
culture.
difficult for people to accept.
People do IVF in secret.
It's secret, yes.
This
Yeah.
one, her womb, her father used it to make money when she was, or she had so many abortions.
Sorry,
She
sorry.
doesn't-
all sorts of
Devon, let me
things.
come in. Yes, I agree that all these things you've just mentioned,
Are a factor
Are
or are
factors.
factors. Yes.
they are factors. But must we continue to live for people? Now, listen. In a home, because I got to define something, and probably because it's me, Chukuma. Just this week, I spoke to someone, I told the person that I discovered that our parents lived for us.
They did.
Yeah.
Especially our moms.
They spent their life for us.
Yeah.
My father denied himself a lot of pleasures just to get a home, to build a house that he felt his children would live
inherit.
into.
Yeah. Yeah.
But look at all of us, nobody's living in that house.
Exactly.
Now, the earlier people understand that life is for the living. Now, you're talking about what inherits. The man that died does not know who answers his name.
Exactly.
We should be shifting from this. I always say this. We go to America. We want to embrace everything in America. But we only bring in the negative ones. What about the positive ones? Why would someone bother himself over who answers his name that he doesn't know who is answering? Why would somebody bother himself over who inherits what?
But that is the society we live in.
No,
and that is why we're having this conversation.
Yes,
to shift the narrative.
We need to shift the narrative.
Now, speaking about the society
need to shift the narrative.
Speaking about the society we live in, Chukwuma, one of the things that have popped up in the course of this conversation is the fact that men shy away for taking an active role when it comes to family planning.
Yes, we need to
and
go
we
back to
do
that.
know, yes, and we do know, at least for those who are aware scientifically, that probably the role that the man will play when the man takes an active role is more effective and actually safer for the couple than when it is the woman. I don't know, apart from what you call the one they insert, IUD, most other ones in some cases have one or two side effects.
They all have side effects.
But for the men, many a time there is little or no side effect, but men do not want to play an active role in that equation. Why is that so?
If you ask me, I think it's about orientation. Frankly speaking, I'm just hearing the first time.
That men do not want to participate in family planning?
No. The fact that there are things to do to... Yes, there are things to do to... I'm just hearing the first time. I'm hearing the first time.
So fantastic that we're having this conversation.
I think the orientation the focus has always been on the women. Yeah. Now, I think if it's also made to be known to the men, I think some men will embrace it. Because our culture is not fair to the ladies, to the women. I'm sorry to say it. Our culture, everything.
Please give me a handshake for that.
No, I'm sorry. I'm serious. Every blame goes to the woman. Every blame goes to the woman, and it's not fair to the woman or to the women.
Thank you so much.
It's not right because I don't understand why.
This is where gender equality comes in and women empowerment.
It comes to in a home. There is no child, and everybody puts the pressure on the woman.
Automatically assumes it's the woman.
And you don't know what the issue is.
And nobody has ever thought about.
And guess what? Not to cut you short. Male and female infertility are on the same level. 50-50.
They contribute equally.
Equally, 50-50. In fact, some studies will tell you male infertility is more than female infertility, the percentage.
And nobody will ask you, Bros Alpha, have you checked yourself? Now, the same thing goes with this family planning. My appeal to our listeners is this. The men, because I humorously said something to a friend while we were talking this week. I said, haven't you seen that people who live in one room tend to have more children? Because it is apology to those who are in it.
It's kind of true.
Apology to those who find themselves in that. I'm not making a mockery of you.
Proximity.
But the truth is because they are together. And most times they don't have much to say. That could be the only thing they always share. You understand? Come. And it goes and it happens. But even if that's the situation one has found himself, check the number of children you've had. Because it's important that you don't keep producing. They're not dogs. These children must go to school.
Yes.
And the first starter, he said, if you're living in Abuja, it's a family planning. You're just looking at because you're looking at the city.
The crash is about 80,000.
No, because you're looking at the city center.
That's the one that you
go to the suburbs.
The hinterlands.
Go to the suburbs. Sometimes when I hear it, I'm like, what is wrong with you?
The outskirts.
Why are you doing this?
And guess what? The people who have this number of kids do not access clinics. They have their babies at home.
Yes.
Traditional bed attendants are their midwives. Most times, traditional bed attendants are old women in the villages that do not know anything about family planning. The only thing that they know about family planning is to tell you that if you count a certain number of days and abstain, then you are safe. Or they give you a concoction. They say this leaf that is at the back of the house, if you pluck it and you wash it and you squeeze it and you drink it and all of that, but it fails all the time. So our advice to our listeners also is, please, no matter how poor you are, if you know you have decided with your husband to have X amount of kids, stick to it. There's something that can prevent pregnancy. It is better to prevent pregnancy than to have an abortion.
Yes.
True. And like I said from the beginning, whether we like it or not, people are having sex. I was privileged to work in a setting where we went to take data from people who come for abortion in an abortion clinic, in quotes. This hospital is known for just abortions.
God.
Here in Nigeria.
In South Nigeria.
And it's illegal.
It's illegal.
It's
supposedly illegal, right? What did I come out from that experience with? Abortion knows no age, economic status, or social fame. Every GF person came there.
What's GF?
Every GD person, sorry. I don't want to say that.
Oh, okay.
Came there. Whether they came in a wheelbarrow, in a keke napep, in a tricycle, in a bicycle, in a V-boot,
Lamborghini.
Honda, Lamborghini, Ferrari, all of them, Maserati. What's that other one? Homer.
Helicopter.
I'm telling you, private
They
jets.
landed.
They came. I'm telling you, I saw every strata of the economy represented. Even when it comes to religion, the ones that tie everywhere, no earring, no makeup, not the dress is sweeping the floor, they came for abortion. And we were pretending to be psychologists, talking to them after the process and telling them it's going to be okay, and then showing them a better way, meaning family planning. We were not supposed to we were just supposed to collect data as to what is knowledge, attitude, and practice about safe abortion, because that is a safe place to do the abortion, not hiding. At the end of the day, I couldn't just take the data and walk away, because I was working in a tertiary institution where family planning was free. So I used that moment to teach.
You can come and access this for free.
Do you know what happened? We were supposed to be in that setting for 5 days. After the 3rd day, the owner of the place got wind that I was telling his customers that they can prevent abortion.
No way.
I told us to
It was
leave.
funny business for him.
He told us to leave.
Yeah.
Whoa.
He told us to leave. Why am I telling them that they can prevent pregnancy? That if they don't get pregnant, how would they have an abortion?
Is this person not supposed to be like a professional?
He's a medical
person?
doctor.
So there are other things he can
He's
do.
a consultant obstetric
But
and
there are other
gynecologist.
things-
It's more money because it's somewhat illegal. I see
I met a girl who
because
was
there are
20 years old.
circumstances.
She was having a 10th abortion.
There are circumstances under which in
20
Nigeria
years
it's
old.
okay to have an abortion, so it's not completely illegal. Yeah?
No, you can have an abortion up to the age of 12 weeks. After that, it's illegal.
No, I'm talking
even
about
if it's life-threatening,
circumstances.
there are
Okay.
Like if
circumstances.
the
Incest
mother,
and rape.
yeah, so it's not like completely illegal. But some doctors have discovered a niche that
And use that to
abortions are in
operate.
very high demand.
They are.
And that's that one time when you can get people to even go and sell a car
Yes.
and bring the money. So it's very expensive. They can
And
make it
whatever
depending on how
trimester.
old the
Whatever
pregnancy
trimester,
is,
they'll
and
take
so
it
on
out for
and
you
so
if
forth.
you want it.
So there are many who prefer to just keep doing that because it brings in so much money.
Yes.
I need to add something
Yes,
because
please.
I'm sure also the lawmakers could also be listening to our discussion now. Now we've looked at the areas where we have found that there are some cultural values that are not in support of this family planning.
Yes.
I think the legislators also should look into this issue because whether we like it or not, a girl child is a girl child, a boy child is a boy child. But we should start looking into how living values to both the male and the female.
That's the
Because
SDGs.
if we have a legislative backup or laws that could
being
come
a
up to
law,
say
yeah.
that come up to say that this is the position, because I believe that the Constitution of Nigeria covers every other thing, irrespective of the culture or what tradition. The Constitution should be the number one thing everybody should look into.
But do we adhere to them?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because
But
we've had the one where
we should
they say
try
for kids,
to.
right?
We should try.
Nigeria.
No,
Yes.
it wasn't a law.
It wasn't a law. It
wasn't
encouraged
a
it.
law.
But talking about the Constitution, there's a bigger problem.
What is it?
The religious circle.
Oh, yes.
True.
Oh,
They
yes.
have so much influence,
Power.
so much power, but many of them discourage family planning.
yes.
Some people tell you, oh, it's the white man's idea of wanting to limit our number, so we don't get
Depopulate us.
access to the economic benefit,
Yes.
resources of the country.
Yes.
So don't listen to them, don't do it.
Exactly.
And because people listen to them, they don't. You come to the other part of the religion, they tell you, oh, the Bible says you should not tamper. Giving birth is a gift of
Going into the
God.
world and
Going to the
reproduce.
world and multiply. So you cannot tamper with that circle of
Meanwhile, you
religion.
don't stop to count how many kids that your pastor has.
Exactly. So if we're talking about the law, the National Assembly, we should actually focus a lot on the religious leaders.
Yes, and I totally agree with you. We're about to wrap up, but I think that persons of influence, be they
Opinion leaders.
be they
Celebrities.
custodians of culture, be
Celebrities.
they I don't listen to any celebrities. Be
But
they
they
custodians of
influence us.
be they custodians of culture, clergy. I think if we're able to get these three to please exercise the power they wield over people in a positive manner, we're going to see
A lot of changes.
a lot of
Behavioral
changes,
change.
An uptake.
behavior change,
Yes,
yeah.
an uptake.
And that's where we wrap up this particular discussion. If you're just joining us, sorry, we're done. But we were talking about family planning. We tried to define what it is. We spoke about how best we think maybe we could get more people to buy into it. We identified cultural and societal pressures that sometimes cause people to have even more children than they ordinarily would want to. So it was quite a healthy one. And with me to analyze all of that were...
My name is Chi.
Chukwumohaka.
Reader.
Dr. Brimer, and before we leave, I would not be happy if I do not say this. In the developing country where Nigeria falls into, there are 230 million women who want to have access to family planning but do not have the access because of all of the things we talked about. Tradition, culture, religion, even the spouse withholding finances and all of that. It needs to stop. It needs to stop. Overpopulation is causing a lot of problems. That is why we're having issues with migration and people dying on the high seas and in the deserts. Please.
So on that note, we would also like to beg men to get more proactive. It's called a condom, and it works.